They say you can tell a lot about a town by the way people look at you when you walk into a room. In my town, the looks always came first. The quick scan, the raised eyebrow, the quiet assumption that I didn't belong there, or that if I did, it was on borrowed time. I learned that early. You learn it fast when you're the kid people underestimate the one they talk over the one they assume will stay small. I didn't plan on proving anyone wrong that night, but life doesn't always give you time to prepare. It started in a place that was supposed to feel safe. A greasy little diner off Route 9 vinyl booths cracked with aged coffee that tasted like it had been reheated too many times, the kind of place where everybody knows everybody, or at least pretends to. I was there with a couple of friends after school laughing about nothing important, just killing time before heading home. That laugh, that stupid, careless laugh, would end up costing me more than I ever expected. The door swung open hard enough to make the bell rattle. I remember thinking, whoever just walked in is in a bad mood. You can feel that kind of energy before you even look up. Heavy footsteps, sharp breathing, the sense that the room just shrank a little. I glanced over and saw him. Broad shoulders, stiff posture, eyes already searching for a target. People like him don't walk into rooms, they claim them. He stopped near our booth, stared a second too long, and said, "Something funny over here?" I tried to answer, really. Tried to explain we were just talking about school, about basketball, about nothing that mattered. But he didn't come for an explanation. He came for control. His hand came across my face so fast I didn't even see it. Just felt the sound before the pain, felt my head snap sideways, felt the cold glass against my cheek. The diner went quiet in that way that feels louder than noise. My ears rang. My face burned. I tasted metal. And the worst part wasn't even the slap. It was the way he smiled afterward, like he'd done exactly what he came to do. "Watch yourself," he said, low and calm, like a warning you're supposed to be grateful for. "People like you forget where they stand." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I sat there frozen, staring at the tabletop while my friends stared at him, terrified and angry, but unsure what to do. That's how power works in small towns. Everyone knows who has it, and everyone knows the price of challenging it. Someone behind the counter finally spoke up. A woman with tired eyes and a voice steadier than mine had been. She said what he did was wrong, said there were cameras, said there were witnesses. He laughed. Not loud, not angry. Just amused. He scanned the room, daring anyone to meet his eyes. Nobody did. He left like nothing had happened. Bell jingling, boots heavy on tile, just another man walking out of a diner. I sat there holding an ice pack to my face, thinking this is it. This is how it ends. He wins. They always do. What he didn't know, and what I hadn't even thought about yet, was that this wasn't just my story. Not anymore. When my parents showed up, everything shifted. My mom went straight into care mode, checking my jaw, my eyes asking questions I barely registered. My dad stood back for a second, taking in the room, the spilled water, the way my friends hovered close like they were afraid I'd disappear. His face didn't change, but I knew that look. That was focus. That was control, barely holding the line. People told him what happened. The woman behind the counter offered the footage. And for the first time that day, I felt something other than fear. I felt possibility. That feeling didn't last long. The next morning, the footage was gone. Cameras ripped out. Wires dangling, like the place had been robbed by ghosts. Local officials shrugged. Reports went nowhere. Suddenly, nobody remembered seeing anything. The same people who'd sat frozen in that diner now crossed the street to avoid us. Then the intimidation started. A car following me home. A slow drive-by. A look that said you should have stayed quiet. I started sleeping lighter, listening harder, jumping at sounds that used to mean nothing. That's what fear does. It shrinks your world 1 inch at a time. For a while, it felt like every door closed as soon as we touched it. Evidence disappeared. Calls stopped getting returned. People whispered support but refused to go on record. I remember sitting at the kitchen table one night staring at my hands and saying out loud what I'd been thinking since that diner. So, this is how it works, right? They just get away with it. My dad didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was quiet but sharp like a blade sliding free. "No," he said. "This is how they think it works." That was the turning point. Not the slap, not the threats. That moment. When he decided we weren't going to fight the way they expected. He started digging where they didn't think anyone would look. Financial records, side deals, patterns, names that kept coming up like fingerprints. He worked late earlier than dawn chasing connections that didn't make sense until suddenly they did. People started reaching out again, but this time differently. Quiet messages, anonymous tips. A man who said he'd seen too much and couldn't carry it anymore. A woman who said her silence had been bought with fear. Each story fit into a larger picture, uglier and more organized than I'd imagined. The pressure ramped up fast after that. Someone who tried to help ended up in the hospital. Files corrupted overnight. A higher authority backed out without explanation. It felt like the whole system leaned in at once and whispered, "Drop it." That night I saw something change in my dad. The frustration burned off and left something harder behind. Determination without illusion. He said, if they're this scared, it means we're close. He was right. What finally broke everything open wasn't a confession or a miracle. It was patience. Following the trail, they forgot to cover. Finding what they thought was hidden forever. Proof that didn't rely on trust or goodwill, just facts. Cold, undeniable facts. The morning it all came down, I stood across the street and watched. Vehicles everywhere. People in dark jackets moving fast, purposeful. Men who used to walk tall being told to put their hands where everyone could see them. The guy from the diner arrived last, confusion sliding into panic when he realized this wasn't a drill. The sound of cuffs clicking shut is quieter than you think, but it echoes. The town gathered like it was waking from a long sleep. Faces I recognized from years of looking away now staring straight ahead. Some cried, some smiled, some just stood there, stunned. Power changes hands fast when the illusion cracks. Later, there was a ceremony. Speeches, promises, apologies that came years too late. They asked me to say something. I didn't plan it. I just told the truth. I said I used to think justice was something that either existed or didn't. Now I know it's something people have to demand over and over, especially when it's uncomfortable. Life didn't magically become perfect after that. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. Fear doesn't evaporate just because someone finally faced consequences. But something shifted. The air felt different. Lighter. Like people remembered how to stand up straight. Sometimes I think back to that diner, to that first laugh that started it all. I think about how close I came to believing the story they wanted me to believe, that I was small, replaceable, easier to silence than to hear. I was wrong, and so were they. Now, I want to hear from you. If you'd been there, if you'd seen what I saw, felt what I felt, would you have spoken up, or would you have stayed quiet to protect yourself? Where do you draw the line between survival and surrender? Tell me what you think in the comments. I read them, all of them. And if this story hit something real for you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because silence is how this stuff survives, and stories like this, uncomfortable, messy, real, are how it finally ends.